In this chapter, we've seen a couple of ways to use your iPhone, iPad, or iPod Touch to help you remember to do something. You can create an event in the calendar and set it up so you can get an alert before the event begins. You can also set an alarm with the clock app for an event that's occurring sooner. Also included in iOS 7 is the Reminders app, which is just a simple program for creating reminders and to-do lists for yourself. To start using the Reminders app right away, just tap in the list under where it says Reminders and type out what you need to remember. Tap Return to enter it, and that immediately takes you to the next line where you can enter another reminder. And tap Done when you're done with the list. Notice each item has a checkbox next to it so you can check off items when they're done. Now, the checked item will remain visible while you're looking at the sheet or card that it's stored on. But if I tap away from it for a second, for example by tapping the top of this card at the very bottom of the screen, which by the way is how you create other lists, and I'll get to that in a moment, notice when I come back to Reminders, the Fuel the Car reminder has disappeared. But at the bottom here, we have a Show Completed option, and when I tap that, that shows you the items you've checked off. And that can be useful if you want to make sure you really completed all the tasks you checked. You can also uncheck items if they weren't as done as you thought they were. Now, I just mentioned that you can create different reminder cards to organize the things you need to do in any way you like. I'll tap this card at the bottom of the screen again and hit the plus button. That allows me to name this new list, and I can assign it a color, and I'll tap Done to create it. And now I have a grocery list. I'll tap Done. And let's create one more. And this time I'm going to drag this card to the bottom of the screen and release. That pops up all the reminder cards. So again, I'll create a new list. And here's my list for the weekend. And I'll drag that down again. And here are all my lists. Now you can rearrange these cards by holding down on them, specifically their headers, and dragging up or down. You can also assign reminders to be done at specific times and dates, or even use a feature called geofencing, which will trigger reminders based on your location. For example, I'll go back to my reminders card here, and I'll tap my first reminder here called Dentist. That gives me the little I info button here. And on this screen, I'll turn on Remind Me on a Day. And then I can choose when I want to be reminded. I can even choose to have this alarm repeat every day, week, every 2 weeks, or every month or year. I'll just leave it set to never for repeat. I'll go back to details. And I'll tap Done. Notice now under my reminder, it says tomorrow 10 a.m. So when that date and time arrives, I'll get a notification on my screen and the reminder will appear in my notifications area. Remember, you can get to your notifications by dragging down from the top of the screen. And tomorrow here under Today, I'll see a notification for that reminder. I'm going to go down to Fuel the Car here, and I'll tap the Info button again. And on iPhones and iPads with cellular capabilities, you have the Remind Me at Location option as well. Note that these two remind functions can be used in conjunction with each other. You're not limited to just one or the other. But I'll just leave Remind Me at a Location on for now. Then I'll tap Location. Now, if this is the first time you've used it, you'll get an alert saying that Reminders wants to use your current location. I'll allow it. And then I can tap Current Location, and my phone will determine where I am, which is in this case my office. So if I wanted to be reminded to fuel my car after I leave my office, I can leave it set to when I leave. If this were a reminder that I wanted to have pop up when I arrived at my office, I would choose when I arrive. Now, if necessary, I could have also tapped in the search field to search my contacts for an address, but I'll leave current location set for now. I'll go back to details, and now when I leave my office, an alert will pop up on my phone reminding me to stop at the gas station. But be aware that using this sort of geofence reminder can drain your battery more quickly, since your phone will be more vigilant about tracking your location to see when you're leaving or arriving at a designated area. It's probably best to only use geofencing a few hours or so before you plan on being or leaving somewhere. Now, each reminder also has a section where you can assign a priority to your reminder. This doesn't actually do anything to the reminder. It's just a way for you to prioritize the reminders for yourself. And if you have any notes you want to keep about the reminder, you can tap in Notes. Or if you want, you can tap List and switch to one of the other cards you created. I'll tap Done. Now, if you want to delete a note rather than check it off, just slide your finger across it to the left and tap Delete. Incidentally, if you tap More, you can get back to the detail screen here. But in this case, I do want to just delete it, so I'll tap Delete. Drag the Reminders card down so I can see all of my cards. Now, on this main screen where you can see all your cards, you'll also find a search field so you can search for specific reminders. I'll cancel that. And you can also tap the clock button to see just the tasks that you've assigned to a specific time. And just so you can see what it looks like, here's the Reminders app on the iPad. It works exactly the same, but the layout is different since you have more room. Instead of having to drag cards around, you can just tap the names of the cards or lists that you want to see. But again, functionality-wise, it's the same on all devices. Okay, so that's the Reminders app in iOS 7.